The Browns are moving on from Baker Mayfield because Deshaun Watson is going to join the Browns. The Browns put out a statement about signing Deshaun Watson. The grand jury in Harris County, Texas, Houston area, did not determine that there were criminal charges justified against Deshaun Watson. So the grand jury made a decision not to bring criminal charges. There are still 22 women, I believe, who are alleging that they were sexually assaulted by Deshaun Watson. And the Browns, and I don't know what kind of investigation the Browns did, but the Browns decided not only to decide to trade for Deshaun Watson and give up a lot of draft capital to the Houston Texans, they also made Deshaun Watson the highest paid player in the history of the NFL, and they structured his contract such that even if he is suspended for the first year, even the whole year, there wouldn't be very much cost to him because he's not making that much money over the course of that first year. So this is a big deal in terms of how this has all been structured. It also, to me, and I've been arguing this for a long time, it ends the argument, to me, that the NFL is in any way racist against black quarterbacks. Because Deshaun Watson got the largest contract in the history of the NFL while 22 different women are accusing him of sexual assault. And why I think this is significant is the NFL doesn't care about anything except whether or not an owner believes that you make his team more likely to win. And Deshaun Watson is a very talented quarterback. I don't think there's any way to argue against that. He's also a very young quarterback. The Browns have consistently been losers by and large. And when they got the opportunity to go get Deshaun Watson, the Browns determined one significant factor, that Deshaun Watson's talents exceed his problems. And when your talents exceed your problems, then you will be employed, not just in the NFL, but anywhere. And so we'll see whether this ends up being true. Also makes it incredibly difficult for the NFL to try to figure out exactly what to do, and in terms of suspending Deshaun Watson. And let me just reiterate this, by the way. I don't agree with the NFL personal conduct policy. I never have. I don't think the NFL should be in the business, personally, of suspending players for things that they do that have nothing to do with football. All right? If you use performance-enhancing drugs, if you cheat, whether or not you buy into Deflategate, if your behavior directly implicates the on-the-field results, or, frankly, if you're Calvin Ridley and you go out and you gamble on the sport, I can understand why the NFL feels compelled to act, because that directly relates potentially to the product on the field. But if you are charged or sued or in some way are accused of misbehavior that has nothing to do with your time as a member of the team, then I don't understand why in the world that would be the province of the NFL. And by the way, I've been arguing this since I first started writing, when the personal conduct policy became an issue years and years and years ago. So we'll see whether or not there ends up being significant pressure brought to bear over this issue with Deshaun Watson joining the Browns, and what the long-term impact is going to be in terms of suspensions, or whether Deshaun Watson will be able to play this year for the Browns. Solid roster there in Cleveland, and Jimmy Haslam has spent big money to try to figure out whether Deshaun Watson is the answer to what ails the Browns historically. So we'll see what happens. But again, to me, if you are getting the largest contract in the history of the NFL with 22 different women right now accusing you of sexual assault, then the message that the NFL is sending is pretty clear. All we care about is your talent. Nothing else matters, for better or worse. And I've been arguing this for a long time. The NFL is a meritocracy, and nothing but your production matters. That's why I said, look, people get mad at me. I said, hey, if Colin Kaepernick, everybody wants to talk about Colin Kaepernick. Maybe he's going to get back in the league. I don't know. If Colin Kaepernick had Deshaun Watson's talents, nobody would have cared if he took a knee, right? The reason why Colin Kaepernick is not in the league is not because he took a knee during the national anthem. It's because he took a knee during the national anthem and wasn't talented enough to take a knee during the national anthem. Deshaun Watson has shown us, that if you are talented enough, what you do doesn't really matter very much at all, as long as you make it more likely that a team is going to win. And that's the bet that the Browns are making. And I'll just point this out too. Fans of individual teams will forgive anything. There's a statue, might I remind you, to Ray Lewis outside of the Ravens Stadium. Ray Lewis was charged with double murder. Statue to him. Ray Rice, also with the Ravens, before the video came out of him knocking out his fiance, people were showing up at Ravens practices wearing Ray Rice jerseys. Individual fans, if players make their teams more likely to win, are totally amoral. Has been the case since time immemorial, and I imagine if Deshaun Watson helps the Browns win, nobody's going to care about him. Remember, Kobe, 2 jerseys retired, and Kobe won an Oscar at the Me Too Oscars, even though he was accused of rape. Nobody cared because Kobe Bryant was really good at basketball. We'll see whether the same thing holds true for Deshaun Watson.